So you have to connect to that passion and your why, and then start to identify as that type of person. Also remembering that it's just science and that it's calories in, calories out. I think just getting out, walking, make sure you stay mobile, do some stretching, and then educate yourself about food. Food definitely affects our emotions and how we treat others. You can always make something work if you really want it to, if you make it a priority.
Pro-ager, fitness coach who, believe it or not, is 65 and thriving, guiding women to start over and become their fittest version in their 50s and beyond. Our guest today on the Settle or Be Better podcast is Bobbi Parker Hall, who's going to be talking to us about becoming fit in your 50s. So, welcome, Bobbi ma'am, and over to you. Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your personal health and well being story and how has it been for you so far?
Yes. Well, I didn't really start seriously working out until I had my second child. And that was when I was 28 years old. And I saw the writing on the wall because I saw my family's, DNA and history was, we're just going to gain weight. So I thought, I just wanted to be in shape, and so something inside me was driving that. So anyway, I started working out online and this was back when it was just cable, TV, back a long, long time ago, back in the 80s. And so there was this girl on our local cable channel, and she really inspired me. And so I started working out with her. And then I auditioned for her show and got on it the next year. And so that kind of launched me into the phase of my career in this business. So I started out as an aerobics instructor back in the 80s while I was raising my children, and then went through menopause years and noticed that just doing the aerobics and the cardio wasn't enough anymore. So then I got into bikini competing, and that really helped me understand the food portion of it, which is so important. And but I just keeping exercising all my life, and then learning about weight training and building muscle, and how that just helps so much metabolically and with everything else we need. And it really is, I think, the fountain of youth. And I can't encourage young people to start soon enough. So
Absolutely. And that's a really amazing story. I mean, I was literally showing your pictures and your videos to my mom, and she was surprised. Like, I was making a guess. What do you think how old she is? And it's amazing the way that you're leading this lifestyle. It's like it's a complete new vision for me also in my 20s. Like,
mm,
like if I can be like that in my 60s, I mean, there's nothing better than that, right? So it's really great to have you on our podcast, and you're really an inspiration. And like you
thank
are
you.
65 right now, which is really tough to believe. But
Mm.
when you were in your 20s, how did you really picture yourself as a 60 something, someone year old? Like, were you exactly this version in your mind when you were in your 20s, or did it really surprise you the way you have been aging so gracefully?
It has surprised me, really, because, back then, in the 80s, and, I grew up, I was a teen in the 70s, and, our grandmas were 50. And a lot of grandmas are 50 today, but they don't look like the grandmas of 50 back then. So, we've just evolved as people. And so we just know, that exercise is the key to staying healthy and fit. And you're lucky because at your age, there's going to be so much more, like with peptides, and, there's a lot of exciting things going on in health and fitness and science that will help us even age better. So, but no, I did not see myself, being this fit, or even, attempting, even thinking I would put my body into a bikini at this age. And, so I'm still kind of like, I'm not sure. But it just, I really saw myself as being more, probably over the hill and not really caring. But the thing is, we always do care. And I don't care if we're 95, you still care how you look. And so
True.
that's just, yeah, it is true. I've met many women that, are in their 70s and just starting to work out. And there's one on Instagram I love to follow, Joan, and she is such an inspiration because she did not start working out till she was 70. And then by the time now she's like 74 or 75, and she just gets better and better and better. So, and not only, what it does for you just physically, but what it does for you emotionally and spiritually and mentally is huge. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, that was my next question. In fact, that, what did it do for you becoming fit in your 50? I mean, the aesthetic reasons apart, because we all want to look good at any age, no matter what, and, whatever we're doing in our life. But what more did it do for you when you felt that fit in your 50s, and, how did it sort of change things for you?
yeah, so I was in a marriage for 30 years that was difficult. And I mean, it got difficult. And so it was a very tough decision. It was a very down period in my life, really my late 40s. I was going through menopause. And I was still working out, but, I just was gaining weight because I was not in a happy place at the time. And my kids had left, so we had raised our kids together, and that's typically when couples a lot of times face each other and go, and so it was very, very, very difficult because I love family. And but there's sometimes you have to make that hard decision. So anyway, I during that time also I had a girlfriend who said, hey, why don't you do this this bikini competition with me? I was 52, I believe, and I was like, I don't know. I never saw myself as a bikini competitor. And then the more I thought about it, the more I liked the idea. And so I thought, why not? What have I got to lose? I'm in my 50s. Other women are starting to do it, and why not? So I took the leap, and I got a lot of friction in the beginning from people, and people trying to like really kind of derail you. But I stuck to my guns, and after about 12 weeks of really, changing my food, watching my macros, and doing my weight training 4 to 6 times a week, and then adding in some cardio, I really started to see my body change. And that was exciting, especially at my age. I was already through menopause. And so and supposedly you're not supposed to be able to build muscle, anymore. And at this time I was not, taking anything for hormones or anything like that. So it was all just natural. And, which I've always been a natural competitor too. But that was an amazing thing for me. I just saw my body change overnight. And so it just elevated my personal training business and my knowledge of what I knew how to do for women even higher. And so I continued on to do 4 or 5 competitions after that, and each time learned something. It's one of the best things, I think, if you have the heart to do it, for women to do. It really gave me confidence, knowing that I was going to be stepping out on my own and changing my life, but maybe living a life that was more aligned to myself and my beliefs than ever before. So I could actually actualize my dreams. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. Now I'm happily remarried, of course, to a fantastic man. And so life turned out really great so far.
That's really amazing to know, and it's great to witness a little part of your life through Instagram and right now talking to you. So it's really amazing to know that. And a lot of people in their 50s, when they reach the year 50, the big 50, they have this thing like half of my life is over now, and most of them don't find many compelling reasons to work on their health at that point, because especially the people who have probably never been proactive about their health before. It was like all about
Mhm.
finances, responsibility, family, kids, and never took the chance up to work on their health. And now they are 50. Like, why should I do it now? What would you say to them, especially even women in their 50s, who probably even if they have worked on their health and well-being before, they've always been in this cycle of losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, and like they are tired of it in their 50s, and like, like, why should I do it right now? What would you say to them? Like, what would be some compelling reasons for them to consider when it comes to this?
Yes, you have to really find your why. And for a lot of people, that's, maybe they've had like a health scare, hopefully not, but, may you find your way there without tragedy. But, or they have, it's because of loved ones, and they want to get on the floor and play with their grandchildren, or, just be able to garden. So you have to connect to that passion, and your why, and then start to identify as that type of person. So just doing some mindset work with how you see yourself and your self talk can really help. But first and foremost, just really trying to find your why and connect to that. And as far as the yo-yo dieting goes, I can really relate to that, because that, it's like you get into this fantastic shape when you're a competitor and you're super ripped and you want to stay that way. But that also means giving up fun stuff in life. And so trying to find that happy medium where you stay within that 5 pounds of, weight, and just keep lifting weights, keep your workouts going as much as possible. And really, even just walking, burning calories, keeping that cardio a bit in there too. If you haven't yet added a lot of muscle to your body, will really help. So, and then just educating yourself about how to eat. There's so much information out there now about eating and eating clean, and make sure your body's processing that food as well as it can. Not to say you can't have your cheats, or it's not even a cheat, but just, have something that you love. Um, you know, you have to work that into whatever works for you to maintain where you're at. But also remembering that it's just science, and that it's calories in, calories out. And so you've got to be putting out more energy than you're taking in. And so that will help too. Beyond that, there's several little tweaks you can do, adding weight training, like I said. And, there's some people, fasting works for them, a few times a week. If you really want to get down into the nitty gritty and lose that, last 10 pounds, that belly fat. So there's several little tweaks that can be made individually to help people. But just for the general population, I think just getting out walking, make sure you stay mobile, do some stretching, and then educate yourself about food. So, and yes, there's
Absolutely.
money involved, and but time, but you can always make something work if you really wanted to, if you make it a priority, no matter where you are or what you have. Um, so
Yeah, and like a lot of people are missing out on, the wonders their body can do and the results it will show with just a few efforts, even if they're in their 50s, right? Like, even my parents, for an example, like my father is a person who has never worked out in his life before. It's all been about money and finances and taking care of the family and the responsibilities. And now is when he's actually, working on it, and, like actively taking out time from his week and doing little things, not even completely, getting into it. But that little change, matters. It
yeah.
goes a long way, not just the way you look, but the energy you have, or your relationships, and everything, your mood. So it plays a major role, definitely. And there's
Mhm.
something really beautiful and unique that you talk about, is with about your relationship with Mr. Dean right now, right? And it's amazing. So tell us more about what role did companionship, the right companionship, and finding that love make for you in your health and your well-being. Like, what was the difference that you noticed, or the way that you put in efforts differently, probably after you met someone, and they really like
Yeah.
compelled you to work more on your health, and to fall in love with this process. What was this, and how important is it to have the right companionship when you're working on aging gracefully or longevity?
Oh gosh, I think that, of course, being in a stressful relationship, we all know stress is not good for us. There's good stress and then there's bad stress, but if there's, too much stress and not enough happiness, being spread around, we're going to have things in life that are hard, all of us. But if there's not enough, good things, then I think it can cause, it can be harmful to your health. And I felt like in my relationship that it was getting kind of to that where there was just so much unhappiness day after day that I just, would fantasize about, getting out and being on my own and, having my own life. And that's kind of like became my dreams. And that's what kept me going until I got the bravery to move out on my own. But so I also think I did a lot of self work during that time. I did a lot of seeking spiritual work and just, trying to kind of comprehend where my life was at and how I wanted to actualize it. And there were so many things because I felt like there were just so many things still ahead of me. But if I stayed in a repressive kind of situation, I was going to probably die, I felt like. And so I think that I was ready and it was maybe fate. That's what I feel like for me, that I finally met the love of my life. And I did not think it was possible for me, but I had hoped it would be. And so, it's been 8 years now since we met, and things have just been amazing. And, of course, we have our little stuff now and then. Nobody's perfect, but it's just surpassed in so many ways and in so many areas anything I thought was possible. So I feel very fortunate at this later age to have this opportunity to have this type of experience and relationship that I'd always hoped and dreamed I could have. So I guess, and you hear some women say, and it's happening to other women too, my age, you hear all the time on the internet, or, I just met the love of my life. So it can happen for you too. So I think so many women, my daughter, she's 35 and she's not married yet, but I'm glad at least she's not experiencing a divorce or something. It just hasn't met the right person yet. And so, times change and cultures change about marriage. And, when in America back then, where I grew up, you got married right out of high school. It's just what everybody did. And now it seems, and females, my daughter's age, are taking their time, going a little bit slower. So, because the person that you do end up spending the rest of your life with, it affects your life in so many ways. It's the most important decision you'll make. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we probably don't even notice that, in the first few years, when we are in that rush of the amazing things that we are, experiencing together in a relationship. But,
Yeah.
coming to you and your relationship, because you both are so proactive about your health, and you really do enjoy the process of taking care of your body, taking care of your health, right? Like, what is the difference that you've noticed in your relationship towards each other? That impact that it's had because you are active, because you are healthy, and you do take care of your mental health and your physical health actively. What impact does it have on the way that you both communicate with each other, or maybe you understand each other, or
Oh,
the way
yeah.
that you tackle arguments or things like that, your moods? How does that get affected? Because that
Yeah.
happens a lot. Like, the I don't know if it's the right thing, but the empty nester syndrome, like, when the kids are all gone and it's just the parents. And it would be really
Mm.
amazing if they could actually take out that time for themselves together to do something. And there's nothing better than bonding over movement. Like, if you're just going together for a workout, that just makes so much of a difference. Like, having a workout buddy, and it probably would even build
Yeah.
up a better rapport between you both that you didn't have before, right? So what does that how does that work out for you in your relationship?
Yes. Well, definitely, like any couple, it's like you got to get out of the house and get a walk in together. And then, maybe if it's been like you've been inside all day and you're like, oh, I need to get out of the house, maybe there's a little bit of tension starting, and then you get out and you're like, oh, wow, why didn't we do this earlier? And so I think definitely having health as a priority can, in so many ways bypass things that could be issues. Definitely. I also think that eating, healthy, so food really affects our emotions. And, some people have like glycemic responses to certain types of foods that they eat. And glycemic responses can very much affect your mood. If you've ever lived with somebody that's hypoglycemic or anything, if they don't get food, they can be, so food definitely affects our emotions and how we treat others. So it is important to know that about yourself. So if you're somebody that is affected by that or has some insulin resistance, pre-diabetic type problems, then that's something you can get under control with food. But then just also having the same goals, wanting to stay fit, wanting to, really capitalize on this, looking good as we can movement that's going on, and, that we're happy to be a part of. Really, when I've done competitions, he has, been full on supportive. And when, he's swam rivers, I've been there for him. So just, those are things that are extreme in couples' lives that can be very disruptive too. So supporting each other's goals as far as like, getting fit and excelling in something that's good for us and that's going to keep us healthy has, I think, been really rewarding too. And so, just really having the same goals around all of that, I think helps so much. So, yeah, and just in so many ways, it's just nice to be married to, somebody that is, open to really staying fit and, improving our life in those areas. So,
Absolutely, and that does, matter a lot. Like, if you're married to someone and like one of you is really not that interested in taking care of your health, and the other one is really proactive, that can so many times, cause so many arguments, or like you're probably not on the same page with each other, and it's an amazing way to bond, is what I feel, not just as a couple but as a family together. And that's what I experienced with my parents also. Like, movement is what bonds us today. Like, if we just probably do a workout together, and probably because of COVID, like, because during COVID we were all at home, and we would schedule that 1 hour where we would just work out together, and that in itself, like, it creates such a great bond and rapport with the people you love. So I think, like, everybody should just get on it, and if you haven't done it till now, it's never too late, right? So definitely hop on it. Hop on it.
yeah. Yeah, and it produces that oxytocin, or you get our what is it, endorphins, and and improves the serotonin and all of that. I don't understand
True.
all the chemical stuff reactions it does, but it's that mood lift that helps you feel good, and that just has to go so far, So when you don't have that, then you're just more depressed kind of person. So, and then you're more difficult to live with. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So much sense. And like, as we come to the end of our podcast, do you have any last messages or thoughts to leave us with today?
Well, I think just agreeing with what you're saying, just really, realizing the value that getting outside and, exercising with your loved one or your family can have, and bring to really increase the good times and the love in your relationships is so important. So, and in this day and age, we really have to work on taking care of our health, and just being our own best doctor where that comes in, and keeping our immune systems up. And our stress is low. But yes, and just, not living in too stressful of an environment too. So, yeah. So hopefully that helps.
Yes. And to the audience who's not already following you, there'll be links in the description below. They should definitely go and check your Instagram out because it's such an inspiration. I mean, the other day I was just looking at the client results that you posted, and someone, a lady in her 50s, being able to achieve the, dream body that she wanted to. And the difference is amazing. Like some of us 20-year-olds don't even have that today, right? So if someone in their 50s or 60s can do it, we can definitely do it right now. And it's obviously never too late. So it's really inspiring to see that. And more than anything, I think for the youth today, like speaking for myself and like some of my friends also, like we always are in a rush to like achieve so many things as early as possible because we feel like our life ends after 30 or 40, like I mean, that's when I have to do it, and I'm gonna be old after 30 or or my 40s, and that's why we postpone everything in our life. Like I'll travel after I retire. I'll do this after I retire. Like all the leisure. Like let me just work right now, and health also gets left behind in that process. But if I see you or so many other people that you also mentioned in their 60s and 70s, like still almost living like 20-year-olds, right? Like so it's amazing to see that means that I have so many decades to look forward to. And there's nothing that is going to be like left behind even when I'm in my 60s or my 70s. So it's really amazing that
In
you
fact, it could even get
exactly. Yes, and like thank you for leading by example and like showing us how amazing it can be. And I don't think that we would any longer fear touching our 50s or 60s after seeing more people like you and leading by example with this. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with
you too. Thank you so much. We're really glad to have you on our podcast today.
you. Yes. Thank you so much.
That's it for today's episode. I'm Akshi Pawar, and I'll be your host for the Settle or Be Better podcast. Stay tuned while we bring more inspiring. You know the drill. Subscribe to the Settle or Be Better podcast. Like, share, and comment on our videos. And oh, hit the bell icon because you don't want to miss the mind-boggling health discussions we're about to bring for you. Why settle when you can be better?